Hello and welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we've got a debut on the channel today for the constructor actinide. I've just realised I should have looked up what an actinide is. It obviously sounds chemical, but I don't know what actinide is, but apparently actinide has come up with this puzzle which is called All Things Being Equal, and this has been recommended to us as being quite brilliant. Now I will tell you that one of our testers struggled with this mightily, but one of our testers did get through it and really recommended me to give it a try, so I'm happy to do that. It's got a really interesting rule set, like completely original. And I'm looking forward to having a go at it. I don't have much news today either, so just an appeal, get us up towards 1 million subscribers, because I've promised to do the Macarena and Gangnam Style on the channel if and when we get there. I mean, it shouldn't be long now. I jest. Anyway, that's one thing to think about. The other thing is, of course, we've got our apps available. Do have a look at those. There's some paid apps which are full of handcrafted content. There's a couple of free apps too which are really cool, and just search for Cracking the Cryptic on your app provider. And then there's Patreon as well, where we have the biggest and best Sudoku club on earth. There's always lots of new content, including our monthly rewards, which are very special indeed. Anyway, with that said and done, I don't have any birthday announcements to do, so let me read you the rules of All Things Being Equal from actinide. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. All cages and marked diagonals sum to the same number, which is to be found by the solver. Right, let's have a look at that. So we've got a marked diagonal there, a marked diagonal there, and loads of cages. Okay, okay, I should, and then it says, well, basically all cages and marked diagonals may include repeated digits, so these are not normal killer cages then, if allowed by other rules. So no, they really aren't normal. So that means that cell could be the same as that cell, for example, which wouldn't normally be the case in a Sudoku cage. So I'm going to have to try and bear that in mind. The inequality sign points to the lower digit. Okay, I can see where that is. So this digit is lower than that one. 3 of the 9. Now this is the really peculiar rule coming up. 3 of the 9 digits are always grouped together in a set of orthogonally connected cells without repeats. Those sets cannot touch each other orthogonally. Orthogonally means they cannot share an edge. So those two cells are orthogonally connected. Those two cells are not orthogonally connected because they only touch at a point. The sets cannot touch each other orthogonally. The green shapes are 2 of those sets. Right. So let's just think about that. Let's say that this was the digits 1, 2, and 3. Then this would be the digits 1, 2, and 3 in some order as well. And what are we being told? They're always orthogonally connected throughout the grid. So in working out where the 1, 2, and 3 is in this box, we wouldn't be able to put the 1 or the 2 in any of those 3 positions, I think is what we're being told. Because if we did try and put the 1 there, for example, then this set of 3, once we finished it, something like that, would clearly be orthogonally connected to this set of 3, and that's against the rules. So I told you it was interesting. Not done too many puzzles with this sort of rule set before. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So I say let's get cracking. I was thinking I need to reread the rules to actually understand this a bit better, because right, so every one of these cages sums to the same number, but we can repeat digits in a cage. So imagine that so what's the lowest value this cage can sum to? And I think that's 16, because if I put a 1 there, and then I repeat 1 there, for example, and then I put 2, 3, 4, and 5 in, these cells would sum to 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. So we know that, yeah, okay, that cage must have the same sum as this cage. Now that cage could be 7, 8, 9 as a maximum. So we know we're looking for some number between 24, which is the sum of these digits, and 16, which is the sum of those digits. and I can't see any other cages that are going to interfere with that conclusion. 16 to 24 inclusive is the number for all cages and the marked diagonals. Let me just check those. I don't think they're long enough to be interesting in the context of a number between 16 and 24. No. Okay. Right, what was the other rule? 3. Oh yes, this thing about... So there's whatever these digits are, and we haven't got a clue what they are. We know, we know that they're a subset of the cage, so that sum of the green numbers is less than the sum of a cage. So the maximum sum of the green numbers is 23. Because if I put 1 there and 6, 8, 9 there, that would add up to 24, which is the maximum. Hang on, I'm not understanding this at all, am I? I'm hesitant to say... I mean, maybe we can do that. Maybe I can somehow... Oh, yes, I know what I could do. Right. I was just thinking about this thing about these sets of 3 can't touch each other orthogonally. So actually, I think this digit is interesting in this box. Let me show you why. Let me just surround this with... We can't put any of these 3 digits in any of those cells because then they would be orthogonally connected. In fact, let's do that there as well. Now, this digit has to be in this box somewhere, not in grey and not in green. But if we put it here, for example, we know that it has to connect to its friends, to the 2 other green digits. But that's going to imply that box 3 has 5 digits here that are selected from just 3 different numbers, and that's clearly nonsense. We can only put 1 more green digit in this box, because we've already got 2 in it. So it's got to go there and it's got to connect, which means those cells have got to be grey. Yes, okay, so now I can believe this is how at least we start the puzzle. So to complete this triomino, it's either going to take that one or that one, so that's got to be grey. Now, let me think about that. No, I've got nothing there. Let's instead look at this one then. So this digit can't go here, and it... Okay, yes, so very simply it can't go here, and this can be neither of the other greens, so that must be grey. Now this can't be green, because once we connect it to other greens, we're going to have 4 greens in this box, so that's got to be grey, which means this cell goes in one of those 2 cells and then immediately exits the box. And that means that this is a sort of a delineator. Whichever one of these is green, it must go sideways. So one of these is green. And it's exactly one of these is green. Because look, we've already got 2 greens in column 7. So I can't have both of those as green, or there would be 4 digits in this column selected from 3 different numbers. So in fact, we can do that. Right, and that means that in this bottom row, we've either got a stripe like this, or we've got a stripe like this. No, but I don't know which way round that goes. But that's good. Right, I've got something. So look at this column, column 8. Because one of these is going to be green, we've either got greens going like that, or greens going like this. But that's going to complete the greens for this column, so those 2 have got to be dark. And whichever one of these has a stripe of green, we're going to be able to sort of fill in the rest of the row in grey. Okay. Okay, yes, sorry, but obviously because one of these is green, that's going to be the 3 greens for this column, so all of those are grey. Oh, so now, right, this is now becoming clear. Look, I've got 2 more greens there. They have to extend to 3 greens, so that's the final green of column 9. These are grey. I've done all my greens in row 7. This is lovely, actually. This is it's quite different to how I was expecting it to go, but it's going fine. Now, that can't be green, because we've then got 2 greens in the box, but this has to connect to 2 more greens, and however I do that, I'm going to get 4 greens in box 5, so that's got to be grey. One of these exactly is grey, so we can delineate those 2 cells. So we've either got something like this or like this. I was about to say, here's something. Ah, yeah, I've got something. Right, here's something interesting. I was about to say we could have a straight line vertically from one of these, but we can't actually, can we? Because one of these rows in the bottom, well, either row 8 or row 9, has a stripe of green in it. So if it was this stripe of green, that's got to be a stripe of green in box 7. And the only other alternative is this is a stripe of green, in which case that's the stripe of green in row 7. Now that means that we can never have a vertical stripe of 3 in column 1 or column 2, because that will be 4 greens in column 1 or column 2. So whichever one of these is green, it's got to go up and then it's got to bend. And that means that this cell is always green, I think. Let me just explore that and prove it. So if this was not green and was grey, this now can't be green. So we'd have to go up in a stripe, and that's going to break one of these columns. So that is good logic. This is green. Right, and better than that, I suppose, is that we know that because this has got a little kink in it, it's either a dog leg like this, or a dog leg like this, or a dog leg like that. That's all the greens for row 5, and that means those cells have got to be grey. It also means that in this box, the 3 greens are confined to that 2 by 2, well no, actually no, that P pentomino, because we could do a dog leg like that. So those have got to be grey. And now look, we've got, well now this has to be green, because I can't have 2 greens there and a grey in the middle of them, otherwise this cell would be a green and it would be a monomino, not a triomino. So that's got to be green. And then, right, and this is really clever how this is working, because now wherever this goes, however this goes, its third cell, so there's going to be a domino of green in either there or there, and then it's going to poke up into row 3 and complete row 3's green quota in one of those 2 cells, which means all of those cells have got to be grey. And that means, what does that mean? I don't know. So it could be that. That would actually... No, well it's not that, for a complicated reason. Let me just show you why this doesn't work. If this is green, that has to be green to complete this triomino, because this would be a 4th green in the row. But now look what happens. You've got 3 greens in this column, so this can't be green, which means this is green, which completes the greens for column 6. But we know there's a green down here, so that doesn't work. That's going to be 4 greens in column 6. So I think instead of that, we can say this has to be grey, which means this has to be green. Now, do we know... Oh, look, and I've got 3 greens now here, so that's beautiful. So that's got to be all grey, that's got to be green, that's got to be grey, that's got to be green, and now it's not broken, because we know one of these is green, and that's going to complete the greenage for column 6. And we're almost done with the sort of greening of the puzzle. How do we finish this then? I can see there's another dogleg shape in this box, because there's got to be 2 of these 3 have to be green, and only 1 of those 3, just to complete the counts for rows 1 and 2. Let me think about this. I haven't quite got my head around this. So we've got 3 here, or 3. I know it's all 3 here, but what I'm just trying to get in my head is that there's 1 definitely for each of the... In these 6 cells, there's 1 in each column down at the bottom. Now, right, so I understand. This I don't think can be green. Let me explain why. That's going to complete the green quota for column 2 and force both of those to be grey. And now you can't make a triomino in box 1. Isn't that lovely? So that is grey. These two now have to be green. That's grey. This column 1 is done. We don't know whether it's going to be this stripe or this stripe, but we know that column 1's green is now done, and that means those two squares have to be grey. And now we know it's a dog. It's either that dog leg or this dog leg. Those two are definitely green. So this. Oh no, we can't. That's it. Because those two are green to complete row 2. Now column 2 is done once we put the stripe in at the bottom. We'll have 3 greens in it. So that is not green, which means that is green, which completes... Oh, we still don't know. So I don't know what's happening at the bottom, I don't think. That is a bit worrying, actually. I'm now thinking I might have made a mistake here. Because how do I know which way round these greens at the bottom go? It seems to me they can either go that way or that way. Let me just check the rules again. All cages and marked diagonals. I haven't even thought about those really yet. Although I've got an awful lot of greens along this one. They may include repeated digits if allowed by the other rules. Inequality sign. 3 of the 9 digits are always grouped together in a set of orthogonally connected cells without repeats. Actually, I might want to just then label those two of the... Yeah, see, look, those digits are all the same. Because this one, it cannot repeat within its triomino, so it's got to go there. And this one obviously can't be those two, so it must go there. So those 3 digits are the same. I'm not going to colour them though. I'm going to use the pen, or sorry, the letter tool to sort of notate that. Those digits are all the same. So that digit's A as well. Because A can't repeat in that domino, that must be the A in box 2. Which means that's the A in box 5. So one of these is A. One of these is A. No, well, there must be an A in one of those. But this is not going to resolve where these go. I am not getting this at all. Right, so what on earth do we do now? I have not got a clue. Okay, let's look at the rules again. If in doubt, look at the rules again. All cages are the same, aren't they? Yes. Okay, that's interesting. Well, that's genuinely interesting as well. This puzzle's got a lot of weird stuff in it. I'm going to claim those digits are the same number. I think that must be right, and I'm tempted to say that one has to be the same as those two by Sudoku. Let me just explain what I'm thinking there. Because this cage, we know it adds up to something. Let's say it's X. We know that the triomino, which comprises 3 of the digits in this 4-cell cage, adds up to the same number because the triomino is made up of, say, the digits 1, 2 and 3. So those are going to be the 1, 2 and 3. And then this digit and this digit must be the same to make this cage and this cage add up to the same number. Now, Yeah, okay, this works, doesn't it? Because this digit, whatever this digit is, it is tantamountly not the same as a green digit, because this digit sees all three green digits. So this digit and this digit being the same and not being a green digit means those three digits are the same. Let's stick with our... oh, goodness, I was trying to write a B into those cells and I totally and utterly shanked that. I don't know why. I want to go, maybe I have to click that button. So, oh, now let me try it. That's better. Okay, so these are B. That's B, by the same logic. That's a tetromino, of which 3 cells are green. So B is in one of those two. Right, now hang on a moment. Where's B in this box? And the answer, I think, because B can't be a green digit, is in one of those 2 cells, which means B is in one of these 3 cells. I don't know if this is worth notating in quite this vociferous manner, but I'm going to try it for a moment or two. So that's B, one of these is B. Again, this is what worries me. I fear I've missed a very important point about the bottom of this grid that would help me to learn where the greens are. Because the moment I know where the greens are, I can eliminate things like B from them. Although there are very few cages down here as well. This is another, the other thing I worry about is, has the puzzle been put into the software correctly? Because it does seem like the bottom of the, well, that cell at least has got a cage in it. But other than that, the other 17 cells in row 8 and row 9 look rather sparse. Okay. What on earth do we do now? We can argue that. Let's go back to first principles. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to work out the value. Well, we've got two objectives, haven't we? We're trying to work out what the green digits are, and we're trying to work out what the cage total is, because the cage total will give us everything. Well, not everything, but it will give us the value of that cage, the diagonals as well. So we have to get this cage total figured out. So this right. Yes, okay, this is fine. This is fine. A in box, where does A go, which is this cell in box 5? And the answer seems to be there. So if A is the only digit that can repeat in this cage, obviously you can't repeat that one and that one. They're in the same box. So the only one that could repeat is this one. And the only place that could repeat is here, which is expressly ruled out by the rules, because you can't repeat a digit in green, or here, which is impossible because actually A in this box seems to have to be there. So that means this box, or this cage, has 6 different digits in it. And the triangular number for 6, i.e. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, is 21. So now we've suddenly got progress here, because we know that the total for the cage that we're trying to work out is some number between 21 and 24 inclusive, which does feel a lot more constrained. Yeah, okay. Also, doesn't that affect the value of B now? Because if the cage total was as low as it can be, which is 21, and B was as high as it can be, which would be 9, then green must add up to 12 or more. Well, that's actually total and utter rubbish. Well, it's not. I think it's true, but it's not helpful, is it? 3 digits that have to add up to at least 12. Well, there are lots and lots of ways of doing that. You can't even rule out. You can't rule out anything. You can't. You literally cannot rule out 1 digit from that triple. So, so maybe, so this diagonal has to add up to at least 21. And 4 of its digits are green. But we just said that doesn't matter, because green could contain a 9, it could contain a 1, so there's total flexibility. This diagonal is useless. That's got 2. I mean, literally, we almost know nothing about that diagonal. So there must be something else we can do here. Inequality sign, no. This cell is not a 9. This cell is not a 1. That's all we know. Oh. Here's something. Those 3, this is another cage. That's a B. Aha. So that means this is not a B. B is down here. No, B is in one of those 2 cells. B. Yes, I've done it. Right, now I understand the bottom of the grid. Because B is definitely not a green digit, is it? No, it's not, because these 3 green digits, CB. Right, so how could that be a green stripe? It can't be, because it would then include B, which we know, and we know that's impossible. So the green stripes in the bottom go there and there, which means we can greyify the rest of that. Let's just take a stare at this. So we should have a triomino. We should have 9 triominoes, and we do. Yeah, we do. Okay. And yes, okay, an A now, all of a sudden, I can do more with. Those can't be A, so that's got to be A. I must be able to. Can I get all the A's or not? There's an A in one of those. Maybe I pencil mark A's like I've done with B's. So A is in one of those, and all 3 of those can be A. What about? Okay, it was really important, wasn't it, that this was B? So I've got to be really careful here. No, okay. Can we deduce anything else from these triominoes then? Is it, like, I'm wondering whether it would also be useful, because this digit, for example, has to go there in box 1. Oh, come on. I bet something like this. It's going to be some way of plotting our way around the green digits here. Oh, there's a funny little X-wing of greens there, in the sense that whatever that is has to go there, which means that and that are the same. Oh, come on, Simon. So this and this are the same. No, this isn't it. Right, okay. Let's try, what else can we try here? We can try, I know. Let's come back to this, because I know this is at least 21. No, there's no pressure. There's just no pressure. Even if I make green really tiny, this can easily be achieved. Green is at least 21. No, not green. No, that's not right. It's not green. It's the cage. I'm getting confused between green and cages. It's the cages that are all the same, and greens are all the same, but greens add up to less than the cages. We know that because in this box, for example, we've got this thing that adds on to green to become the cage. Oh, right. Okay, that's interesting. Ah, I've done it. I've done it. Oh, it's really clever. It's really clever. Right, look at this. Look at explicitly this tetromino, which consists of green and a B. Now, look at this box. Green and a B. And that means that... Oh, Maverick's flying past. That means that either this tetromino or this tetromino is absolutely identical in terms of its contents to this tetromino, which is a cage. It's a full cage. So that means that in this box, we can view these 7 cells or these 7 cells as being 2 lots of a full cage. Now we know that the cages add up to at least 21. Well, now they can't add up to... The cage total can't be 22. Or higher, because if it was, let's imagine it was 22. 22 plus 22 is 44. That means by the secret, these 2 squares would have to add up to 1, and that won't work. Now, the secret is something I only tell my favourite people, so you may be confused when I talk about the secret. But the secret is that any complete box of a Sudoku, indeed any row or any column, if correctly completed, will sum to 45. And that's because it will contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So in this box, it's either those or those that sum to 2 lots of the cages. So if the cage total is 22, 23 or 24, you're going to go up to 44, 46 or 48, all of which give these no opportunity to be valid totals. So it must be 21, which means that it means in this box, either those cells add up to 42, which would make these a 1-2 pair, or these cells add up to 42, which would make those a 1-2 pair. So this is always a 1 or a 2, and one of these is always the other of 1 or 2. But now... Hang on, but one of these is B. Oh, but that doesn't actually tell us, does it? It doesn't tell us anything about the potential value of B, I don't think. Okay, sorry, I'm not quite getting that, but... Right, so now... Well, now what do we know? Oh, I know the simple thing we know. The simplest thing we know here is because we've worked out that if every cage sums to 21, this cage sums up to 21. So it's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because it can't have a repeated digit in it. Oh, this is really clever. Look, green does not include 1s and 2s, so those are not 1s and 2s. This square cannot now be a 6 because it would be higher than this cell, so that can't be a 6. Whoa. And that can't be a 3 by the same token. Right. Okay, so now the maximum value of the digits in green is a 654 triple, which would be 15. So B is at least equal to 6, isn't it? Let me just test that logic again. So what I'm thinking is, just looking at these digits, they have to be selected. They're different digits and they have to be from 6, 5, 4 and 3. So if I max them out, I've got 15, 6, 5, 4, which would make those 15, but we know the cage adds to 21, so that would make that a 6, but that would repeat the 6. So that's actually not possible. So the actual maximum size of this is not 654. It would have to be 653, which is 14, and make that a 7. So B is at least equal to 7 now. Which I guess I think I'll pencil mark that where B is listed as a sole cell, if you like. I'm not going to list those because that's going to really confuse me. So B is at least 7. So those squares are from 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9 then. Because one of these is B and one of them is a 1, 2. So what's the idea now? Well, it might be that we've got to sort of propagate the greenliness around the grid, which Mark would absolutely love, but I'm feeling slightly concerned about. All of those cells have to be from 3, 4, 5, and 6. I don't want to do that. Let me just think about this for a second or two. Is there something we can say about the world? Oh, well, that one has to be from 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that means that these squares have to be from 7, 8, and 9 in box 5 by Sudoku. And that gives us a 7, 8, 9 triple apparently in this column. So this column's got just 3, 4. Well, no, it's got 1s, 2s, 3. Oh no, that's where madness lies. Oh no, I thought I got it then, but I haven't. I thought I could lock a 1, 2 pair into this column, because greens can't be 1s and 2s, but that silly cell can be a 1 or a 2. Bother. It could be that though, couldn't it? Green cannot have 1 or 2 in it, so can I propagate this? So 2 of these 3 cells are 1 and 2. That's definitely worth recording. Does nothing. Does absolutely nothing. Although, right, you can't put 1, 2, or 3 in one of these cages, one of these 3 cell cages, because even if you put 3 in it, the other 2 cells would have to be double 9. So, actually, maybe it's this. Does that allow me to propagate my 1s and 2s? Oh, goodness, yes. Oh, this is gorgeous. Right, look at this box. So, I think we've got 1 and 2 ruled out of those cells. I've just worked out that because this cage adds to 21, that's not got a 1 or a 2 in it. Green cannot include a 1 or a 2 because we've worked out green is 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. Now, oh no, I'm wrong. Ah, in my brain, I thought this couldn't be a 1, 2 pair, but of course it can. In fact, it probably is. Oh, bobbins. Well, 1 and 2 in that box have to be in 2 of those 3 cells. I thought I was going to lock B into this cell. Right, but there might be more we can do here. Let's think about this more clearly. So that can't be a 1 or a 2. So 1 or 2 in this box are a bit constrained. I want to say this is a 1 or a 2. Let me explain that logic. So 1 and 2 in this tetromino is impossible because green is not a 1 or a 2 and that's not either. Can't put a 1 or a 2 into that cell because that's a 3 cell cage. So there is a 1 or a 2, well there are 2 1s and 2 2s in those cells. There's a 1 and a 2 in these 4 cells. Now, whichever of these is 1 or 2, therefore finds a friend here. And in this column, that digit will have to go in the bottom 3 cells. Now it can't go in the 3 cell cage, it's not in green, so it goes there. So that is a 1 or a 2. That's hard won. That really is hard won, isn't it? Oh, bobbins, I just thought I'd come up with something else. Right, I was going to say you couldn't have a 1 or a 2 in those cells. Because you combine it with a 1 or a 2 up here, And they would only add up to 3, and the other two cells would have to be 9. But they can be 9, because you can have a 9 here and then a 9 repeat in this 4-cell cage. Because cages can have repeated digits in them. That is rotten. That's absolutely rotten. Okay. I've got 2 green digits on this diagonal, which sums... Ah, yeah, the diagonals now sum to 21, which I haven't thought about yet. But and green digits are 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s, so let's put those in. So, they could be the same at double 6 as a maximum, which would make those squares have to add up to 9 as a minimum. That's not interesting, is it? And if these were a minimum of double 3, no, which they may well be able to be, so that would mean these were a maximum of 15, which could be done in a number of ways. Okay, let's try this one instead. So this one has got, actually this one's got lots of green digits on it. 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s. Yeah, actually that does seem to be quite, because these two have to be different. So the minimum value of those is 7. And even if I keep, yeah, okay, this is good. This is actually really good. I think for this, believe it or not, let me just talk you through this, because if I absolutely minimize these 4 cells, that would be a 3, 4 here and a double 3 here. So that's 7 plus 6 is 13. So that's the minimum. Now that means that cannot be a 9, because then this diagonal would add up to 22 at least. So that's not 9, which means B is not 9. And wherever I've put B, I can get rid of 9 as an option. So 9 is not in there anymore, which is, I think, going to be the crucial thing. Where else have I got B labelled in a single cell? Let's get rid of the 9s all around the place. That seems to be a B. Is that the only... No, there's 2 places for B in this box. This is complicated. But now let's come back to this cage. Because... can it have a repeated low number? I'm just actually wondering whether it could have 2 2s in it, though. If it's got 2 2s, that would be 4, and then it could have an 8 here and a 9 here. Ah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So actually, I hadn't thought of this possibility before, but this cage is still not resolved. I still can't rule out a low digit from here. I think I can rule out a 1 from there. Because if there was a 1 in here... yeah, 1 plus 8 plus 2, which is the maximum I could put up here, would require a 10 in the cage. So there is no 1 in there. So there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells in this box. But I don't think I can rule out 2 from one of these. Bother. Alright, let's come back over here then. So this is at least 7. So these are a maximum of 14. Six. Ah, okay. So there's no 6 in those 2 cells. I think that's right, because if there is a 6 in one of those two cells are a minimum of 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 7, which is the least it could be, is 16, which requires these two to sum to only 5, but the minimum they can sum to is 6 if they're double 3, so there's no 6 in those. So that means A is now down to 3, 4 or 5, which means that digit is not. So wherever we find an A digit now, we can get rid of 6 as an option. Ah, that's A, is it? So that's 3, 4 or 5. That's A, that's A. I don't think I know which of those is. Is that A? Yeah, that's A, so that's 3, 4 or 5. Oh, now that's A. Okay, so I've got 2 digits now from 3, 4 or 5. My phone is buzzing at me. Right. Now, can one of these be 6, though? I think that might be easier. 6 plus 7 is 13. Then I need... Oh, hang on. No, that doesn't work either, does it? No, I just don't think you can put a 6 on this diagonal at all. Sorry, I was thinking there was some implication of the fact these two digits have to be different, but of course it's the same logic. If I put 6 in any of these cells, I get myself into trouble. In fact, 6 in these two is worse because they can't be double 3. So there is no 6 at all on this diagonal. Now what does that do? I'm very close to removing 6 from green here. The only way 6 can be in green is if it's there, and there, and there, and there, and there explicitly. That's the only place it could go in the middle box, which would make this have to be 6. Ah, bother. Okay, so I don't think I can rule it out. Not by Sudoku anyway. There's probably some maths that would rule it out. What could we say about... If there's no 6 in green, then those squares are 3, 4, 5. They're a 3, 4, 5 triple. They add up to 12. That doesn't work. Ah, right, I've got a digit. Because, right, if this was 3, 4, 5, so if this is not 6, that's 3, 4, 5, which is 12, which means those are 12, and we know that B can't be 9. I haven't removed it from there, but I remember B couldn't be 9 from this diagonal. So that would be 12 plus 8, which is only 20. It's not 21. So there is a 6 in green, and it must be there. And it must be there, 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 and it must be here. Is A different from... Yes, A is not the same as 6. So this is an A6 pair, believe it or not. Which I think I should do that in terms of mad pencil marks. That is an A6 pair, which is quite a strange thing to look at, but I think it's true. Now that's no longer able to be 6, which means one of the... Does that mean that's an A6 pair as well? Seems to. I seem to have to put A in one of those. And I think I've got to put 6 in one of those, because 6 is in green and it's not there. So that is also an A6 pair. Right, so now there's probably more colouring we can do, but let me just think about this a bit more. This is a brilliant puzzle, by the way, actinide. It's brilliant. It's very hard, but it's brilliant. Okay. Right, now what I was thinking in terms of colouring is that digit and that digit have to be the same number, don't they? And that's because this digit is not 6 and it's not A, and that digit is not 6 and not A, so those 3 digits are all the same, which goes there, there. That's A, so it goes here. Yeah, that we're getting. So we can basically plot these digits around as well. Now that must go here. So is that all of them? No, not that. Well, it is now. Right, those digits. I'm just going to give those. I could give them a letter. but I'm not going to. I'm going to give those a colour. Now, that is not A now, we seem to have discovered from doing that exercise, which is perhaps interesting. That is actually on this diagonal as well. A, oh, we don't know whether that's A or the 6. Ah! Wow, okay, this is very, very cool. But we haven't quite got it yet, have we? Oh, hang on. Hang on a moment. What on earth is going on this diagonal? Because 3 of these digits have to be purple, apparently. So, they are not 5. I can instantly tell you that, because if we put 5 into those, we're going to get 15 into those 3 cells, plus 7 is 22 before I even add that one in. I'm not so sure they can be 4 either. Let me just check that. 12, no, they can't be. If these are 4, those 3 cells add up to 12. 12 plus 7 as a minimum is 19, but that's at least a 3, which is taking us to 22. So purple, which we've got everywhere, is 3. All of those digits we can just write in. They're all 3. Now we can do some Sudoku and get rid of 3 from everywhere where we've put 3 as an option, which is quite a lot of places actually. So A is now 4 or 5, I think. And that one we don't know whether it's A or not. Right, is that... No, that we can get rid of it from there. Okay. So this is quite exciting now, he says. Without being totally sure what it means, but that's... So these 3 digits add up to 9, which means those 2 digits add up to 12, which means they're either 8, 4 or 7, 5. So the combination of A and B is 12 now, we have learnt. Okay. Nine has to be in one of those 3 cells in box 1. It doesn't seem to be able to be there. Right, there's got to be a 9 in there, because the only way of a 3-cell cage not having a 9 in it is if it's 6, 7 and 8, and there's a 6 here, so there must be a 9 in there. But we can't do that here. Oh, that's evil again. You can't do that here because these 2 digits can be the same. So although I can't put 6, it doesn't apply there because obviously 6 is ruled out of all 3 of those cells, and these 3 cells have to be all different. 6 is ruled out of all 3 of these as well, but these 2 don't have to be different even though they're in a cage because of the naughty rules in the puzzle. So, same is true here. Those 2 cells could be the same, which is rotten. So that's unhelpful. Okay, so what on earth do we do instead of this then? This diagonal has got a 3 on it. Those 3 digits have to add up to 18. That could be a 6, which means the maximum, or the minimum these add up to is 12. I don't really... I suppose what we could say is they can't be 1s and 2s. Is that somehow useful? Yeah, I can't put 1 or 2 in those cells. Sorry, I'm just not quite getting it, am I? Those 2 digits are the same. Maybe I've got to... I'm almost tempted to get rid of the grey colouring now. I'm not sure what it's adding to anything. I'm going to get rid of it. I think I keep the green. And I'm tempted to label my B's because as I was scanning then, I was missing the fact that these have to be the same digit. Look, where else have we got a solitary B? There, that's got to be the same. So we've got B's in those dominoes, B's there, B's here. Oh, I see. So we've basically got 2 X-wings of B's left. And B is quite a big digit. So B's natural home is in a 3-cell cage. That's where it wants to live. Bar humbug. Can we rule out B doesn't live in that cage? B does not live in that cage. Does that allow us to say so that cage doesn't have B in it and it doesn't have 6 in it? Is it really true to say it can't have? Is it? Hang on, let me think about this. If it's got a repeated digit in it, those 2 cells have to be the same. What can those be? If they're 9, that puts a 3 here. That doesn't work. If they're 8, that puts a 5 here. That makes blue 7. Well, I can say that's impossible, but not for a very pleasant reason. It's quite a difficult reason, but it's true. If that's 8, how do you fill this cage up here now? Because this cage can't have blue in it, which, remember, this being 8 forces blue to be 7. So there's no 7, there's no 8 in that cage, and it's got a 9 in it. So it needs 2 more digits that add up to 12. Without 8 and 7, you can't double 6 the cage. In fact, you can't put a 6 in it anyway. So that breaks this cage. So that's not 8. If it's 7, it's 777. That doesn't work. And it can't have 6 in it. Oh, well, okay. So this one, specifically this one, cannot have a repeat in it. This is even more complicated though, because that logic doesn't apply to this one. We'd have to check these. 9 here puts 3 here. That's impossible. 8 here puts 5 here. Well, that's the same actually. But this time, that doesn't work for this one. There may be an easier way of doing this, I'm sure. But if this is 8, now this becomes 7. That's 7. And now I can't put 7 or 8 in this cage. And we know it can't have a repeat in this cage. So now it's maxed out at 9. It can't have a 6 in it, 9 and 5 and something, which don't add to 21. So that doesn't work either. So in fact, these 2 cells are not the same. What's that doing though? So if all 3 of these digits are different, there is now... Right, I think I understand. This cage now, we sort of know what it is, by which I mean it has a 9 in it for sure, because it doesn't have a blue digit in it, and it doesn't have a 6 in it. So if it doesn't have a 6 in it, it can't be 876. So it has a 9 in it. But because it hasn't got a blue in it, it has a 7 or an 8 from the different quality in it. Because it must have, otherwise it can't reach its total. So yes. Okay, so how about this logic, which might be bobbins, but might not be? If you look at this cage, and we think about its nature is to have 6 and 3 in it, which sum to 9, and then 2 digits that sum to 12, which consist of A, whatever A is, and a blue 7 or 8. So if B is 8, A is 4. If B is 7, A is 5. This cage, on the other hand, has the opposite of B in it. It has the opposite of B. So let's put orange into this cage. This cage consists of a 7 or an 8 that's not blue, and whatever A isn't from 4 and 5. Now, do we know the same thing about this? No. This cage can have blue in it. There. In which case that cell... No, hang on, that was... Hang on. This doesn't work, does it? How does this cage... This cage doesn't have a repeat in it. So it's got 9 in it. Now, it's got 2 digits in it that sum to 12. If those digits are the blue digit and A, which we know sum to 12, I need to be able to put A in this cage. That can't be an A, that can't be an A, and that can't be an A. So this is an orange cage. This is the same as this cage. And that means, believe it or not, it doesn't have B in it, because that cannot be B now. So that means this is B, and is blue, and is 7 or 8. And that means that cell is blue and is not what... here we go. And it's not 1 or 2 then. So that's not B. This is 7 or 8. There is now a 1-2 pair up here, which is what I suspected there would be. So that's a 1-2 pair, which means that's not a 1 or a 2. This cage is an orange cage. It's the same as this. These two sum to 12 because they are A and B, which we know sum to 12. Weirdly, those sum to 12 as well across this diagonal. So, and this cage has a 9 in it but doesn't have blue in it, so that's an orange cage. Which means we already knew one of these was blue from the B-age that's labelled into them. Okay, so how do we make more or better use of this? So in this row, look, we've sort of got an orange triple. We've got a 12 there. Oh, I see. Yes, okay. So where in this row do you put 1 and 2? That's quite an interesting question. You can't put 1s and 2s in orange cages. Those are not 1 and 2. That's not 1 and 2. So those two squares are a 1-2 pair. Which... is that helpful or not? I'd love to know. I'd love to know. I really want to know whether this cage here can have a 1 or a 2 in it. That feels like that has felt like the crux of the problem throughout. If this has 1, well, I don't know. Oh, sorry, I think I'm being really slow about this. Right, let's think again then. These two squares add up to 12. So these two squares add up to 9. And they're not 3, 6. But they seem to have a few options. Oh, okay, maybe we colour 1s and 2s actually. I'm just seeing this. Yes, I'm going to do that. I've just seen what that does. Okay, I've not used yellow, so that's yellow. Therefore, this is something else. We'll make this cell red. Now, where does red go in this box? It's got to go there, by Sudoku, which means that is no longer a 4, 5, or a 6, or anything else I just tried to type into it. So this is a 1 or a 2, which means that cell is not 1, 2, or 6. This is a 4 or a 5, and that I'm going to label orange. because that is an orange 4 or 5 because it's not A. Bother. I thought that would be really clever. It's done nothing. Okay, so in this column we need a 9, which now seems to have to live at the bottom somewhere, and we need the orange equivalent of 4 or 5, which goes into one of those cells. Okay, that where does yellow go in that column? It's not there, so that's got to be yellow. So one of these is red. Oh, yellow. Do we get a yellow in the corner is the question, because if yellow is not in the corner, it's here, which would make this quite a big number, I think, because we know those add up to 12. If yellow is here, that's 14 maximum, so this is 7, 8 or 9. But it looks like it can be all of those things actually, so it's not ruling itself out. That cell's red now, I've just noticed, because this cell's yellow. Okay. So if yellow is in here, it has to be 2. So we'd have to go 2 here, 2 here, 2 in the corner, 2 here. This looks like it's working, doesn't it? Yeah, I fear that looks right. If there is no yellow in here, then yellow is here. I don't know. Okay, red is in one of those two. Can we do that? Red's in one of those two, red's in one. Oh, yes, I can get red in this box. Red is in one of those two cells, and red in the bottom row is in one of those two cells by Sudoku because of this red. So red is not there, and red is here. So that's great. So now those two squares are a 1-2 pair, which is not what I was expecting. They're red and yellow. They go with these two squares, which are red and yellow, which means those two squares are red and yellow, which I can disambiguate. That's got to be yellow, that's got to be red. Whoops. So that means this is a 1-2, this is a 1-2. This cell now is no longer able to be a 1 or a 2, so we can remove the pencil mark from that cell. So this row must now be incredibly constrained, isn't it? I've not put in it 9, I've not put in it the orange big digit. Bother. 9 and orange. This is a 9 orange pair. Can we... Oh, please. Hang on. We know there was a red down here, so that's not red. So that's yellow, which means that's red. Which means that's red in the corner, that's yellow not in the corner. I do still feel that I'm sort of inching forwards. Every time I fear I've stopped, I manage to inch a little bit longer. That cell and that cell are the same. Which could go here though, couldn't they? So that's not revealing. Oh, yellow, yellow. That's got to be yellow. That's it. I've done it. When I say I've done it, that's in the loosest form of the phrase. But because that's become yellow, I think that means that now I have achieved my objective of figuring out whether this little cage here could have a repeated 2 in it, which it can't now. That's got to be this has got to be the blue digit because it's now been reduced to 7 or 8, and we know that there's a 1-2 pair here. So this is a 1 or a 2. This is blue. It is B. Don't know if I can... yes, I can colour them because that must be red now in that box. So that must be red. That must be yellow. Now, yellow in this box must go here by the power of magic. Yellow, 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 red, red, red. I think we've coloured everything. So, what does that mean, though? So that means this... Do I know what goes in here? Is the next question. I know it's got... I don't know if I do, you know. I think... Oh, hang on. Doesn't it have to have medium orange in it? Because these digits... What we do know about these digits is they are orange. Yeah, they're definitely orange. But orange is made up of two digits that sum to 12 and a 9. Now, even if I put... Oh, no, it works. I thought that didn't work. In my brain, I thought, how could that possibly be 9 and 4? 9, 4 and 7 and 1 would work. That would add to 21. I don't believe it. So I can't do that. 12 other... Oh, goodness me. So that's really, 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 really annoying. Okay, sorry. That's not how to do it then. Wow. Wow. Okay. So, I've got a very colourful grid, mind you. This is about as colourful as a grid I've had in a while. 1 hour and 11 minutes into the puzzle. Okay, can we go a bit further than this? So, these 3 digits are all orange now. This is what we're going to find. One of these is... Ah, that's B. Okay, that's something. That's orange, not B. These two are both orange. These two are both orange. We might have to now... You can see where this is going, obviously. This is going into a world where we have to label up the orange cells separately. One of these is definitely 9 in this column. So this is definitely 4, 7 or 8. 4, 5, 7 or 8. 4, 5, 7 or 8. It's a part of the 12 orange sum. Okay. Wow. What could it be? I'd hoped it was going to be this cage, but I now don't think it is. I think it's something else. What about that cage? Can we do something? Oh, can I get that digit? A and B add up to 12, don't... Oh, near... Yeah, well, yes, I can. I can do something here, I think. Yes, I can get a 9 here, I think. Let me go through the magic of this cage. They add up to 12, which means these add up to 9, which means that this is a 7 or an 8, and it's orange 7 or 8, which means that those two add up to 12, which makes that the third orange in the row, and that's the 9. So that's not 9. Oh, come on. That's now not 9, in case that matters. This 4, 5, I've just noticed, is giving me a 4, 5 here. So this is now a 4 or 5. Oh, we might be getting somewhere. So that means... Yes, yes, yes. What's this square? It's not 9, it's not 4, 5, so it must be the orange 7, 8, which means that that must be an orange 7, 8, which means that's an orange 4, 5. Now. And that's it. That's it. We've done it. Now we'll come back to this cage and ask what its nature is. Because, how could this not be 4? If this is 5, that's 14 in those two squares, plus at least 7 is 21 already. It doesn't work. So that has to be 4, that has to be 7, and that has to be 1, which is the only way that can work. So now we've worked out red. So red, wherever we find it, is 1. Yellow, wherever we find it, is 2. Orange middle digit is a 4, which now has to go here, apparently, which means that's a 9 by Sudoku. That's a 9 by Sudoku. Now, if orange is 4, we know that the counterpart to orange in that cage is an 8. 4 plus 8 being 12. So that has to be 8, that has to be 9, that has to be 8. This is a 4-8 pair, which is probably, I can see it's resolved by this, isn't it? 4, 4, 8. That's 9. That's 8. That's 8. This is a 4-9 pair. Okay, can we keep this going now? If orange has got 4 in it, green has got 5, 7 in it. So we can now start filling in 5s and 7s into the blue numbers. 5s into the numbers that A is 5 now. So we can put 5 in here. 5 here. I don't know which way this goes round yet. This is a 4-8. Sorry, oh no, I've broke. No, I thought I'd broken it, but I've now suddenly appreciated this diagonal coming to our rescue and breaking this deadly pattern which would otherwise exist. That's 8, isn't it? That's got to be 4. This is 5. This is 5. So that's 8. That's 9. That's 8. That's 9. That's 4. I've sort of done the final 6 columns of the grid. I can get rid of 4 from this cell. So this is a 5-6 pair. That's a 5 or a 6. This is a 5 or a 6. This is a 5 or a 6. Yeah, it's really interesting actually. I may be missing all sorts of things here, but it does seem like this diagonal has been carefully selected in order for these two squares to have to add up to 14, and that forces this to be the 9, which forces this to be the 5, and that is going to provide the final disambiguation, I think, of the puzzle. That's gorgeous. That felt logical. Let's see if it's right. Yes, I love that. Actinide. That was a brilliant, brilliant puzzle, my friend. What a debut. What a debut. Let's think back to when we started this, doing those triominoes. And at the end of it, we basically had almost a full colouring exercise. That's going to get a lot of plaudits. I can tell you that, because that is quite brilliant puzzle. Really, really, really interesting, and full of those little epiphanies that I love so much. So thank you for setting it. Thank you for watching if you're still here after an hour and 17 minutes. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.